obviously down at the river again. And only me. I ripped down on the quad, and there's a gate that blocks anyone from driving down the dirt road to get down to these pools. And there's no cars up there, there's no mountain bikes, there's no nothing, as usual. So, and believe me, if you were to come down that road in a quad, if anybody's in the river, they're going to hear you for quite a while. You're going to have time to get covered up. So anyways, I came down that dirt road just now, and I come up over the rise, which looks straight down to where that rock is behind me when I usually sit on the quad there and film. And here is two girls, probably women, I don't know, 30-ish, and they are both standing there, not really scrambling, but basically buck naked, getting their clothes back on. One facing me, one facing away. Like, you're instantly, bump, 10 yards from them. Like, oops, sorry. You can see I'm overly concerned. Of course, I asked them if they wanted to be in a video. Settle down, Karen, I'm just kidding. And I just abruptly turned around and let them have their privacy, and I came down to the other end of the road there, and I decided to wade out here. The river's really, really low. There's a lot of bear tracks in the sand, a lot of eagles, and the warm water's killing off whatever's left of the late sockeye salmon that might be in the river, killing them off rather rapidly. So there's enough food floating around. I was going to go on that side of the river and film, but I figured, well, not a bear sign. I'll probably be better off to sit here in the open. Now I'm going to grab my two cameras I left here and retrieve them. I'm not going to leave them any longer because I'm going to be really cutting shy on time pretty quick for going up north, getting all my stuff done. I got a good handful of people still coming yet to guide on the ocean. And then got to get my poultry barn complete before I leave. Lots of stuff to do. And I'm going to need these cameras to come with me when I go up north. And let's face it, I mean, I've probably videotaped all these bears how many times now? Now, let's get voices heard. I think I'll start off with a handful of new ones right now. The repeats kind of annoy me sometimes, and obviously it's very, I don't know what's going on. I'm guessing people just keep on emailing the same story to me. It does get annoying, but I guess at this point of the game, it just comes with the turf, right? You get tens of thousands of emails, people get impatient and try to get theirs read, whatever. It is what it is. So I'm going to do a handful from the top today to ensure there's no repeats. Now, it doesn't annoy me at all doing a repeat. I don't give a shit. But for some weird reason, it compels a lot of people that they feel they need to email me the next day or days after and say, hey man, just so you know, the fourth email on the whatever of August was a repeat. Okay. What do you want me to do now? I can't really do much with that, right? So, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Maybe a bear will come out on those logs behind me. Just for the curious, the largest tree behind me standing is where I left a camera strapped to it. I gotta go get that after this. And another one over there. Now, what do we got? This is titled A Picture of One Looking Through My Cousin's Window. A little of the story behind. Oops, my phone go. Just blanked out. That's weird. That was really weird. A little of the story behind it is that him and his daughters were spring cleaning and they ended up falling asleep in the living room after watching a movie. The girls woke my cousin up because they were scared. When he finally was awake enough to realize what was going on, he could feel it as well. He went to check the time on his phone, then looked over at the kitchen window. This is the same cousin from the story I sent you when him and me and my nephew stumbled upon one's house, and then it came and was pounding on the window and laughing at him. And my grandma and aunties came to pray over him, and my gram started puking while they were doing their thing to get rid of what it left with them. Just thought I'd share with you. The footprint is one my brother-in-law found while going to the beach about 5 minutes from where I live. It was the only one print, and the leaf in the picture is about the size of a baseball. My brother weighs about 2:30. Okay, man. This will be tough for you guys to see what I'm seeing if I held up to the lens, so we'll hopefully gonna remember to put this in the video once I get home. And you can check out those photos then, all right? Mount Rainier Sasquatch checking me out and more. Hello, Steve. Please don't use my name. Okay, gotcha. I'm watching you now for years. The more I watch and listen to the emails you read from the community, the more I understand my experience. I also now have a understanding about things that happened to me as a child in the forest and my frequent dreams. I didn't think my story was important enough to share. I realize now all we share, as small as it might be, is important because the similarities and new learning that come forth in everyone's story starts to form a clearer picture. Amen. Every little piece of the puzzle. My views on Sasquatch have absolutely changed from 78 as a kid exposed to Patterson-Gimlin on an old black and white. The emails sent make me realize this thing is way more. It is a people, or even something beyond my reason as a simple human. I hunted backpack fished my whole life. I'm 50 years of age. 95, I quit my job after 6 years, did not agree with management decisions. I decided to go backpacking to clear my head, get away, be alone. Go to my church in the woods. My destination was Dewey Lake, which is east of Mount Rainier. I planned on hiking down in, hooking up with the Pacific Crest Trail, and spending 2 weeks there. The hike down to the lake was quiet, cold rain. I was young and had poor gear. Aluminum frame pack, military poncho, a tarp, no tent. I got to the lake and it was raining and cold and light was fading fast. It was October. I needed to set up camp and get ready to hole up for a cold, wet night. I climbed the hill to my right of the lake and into surrounding trees. I had to get out of the rain into cover. I found a large tree in good protection with other smaller trees. I was on the side of a hill that turned into a mountain. I made a quick dinner of soup. I was eating. A scream came down from the mountain. I get goosebumps writing this now. It wasn't right. I put it out of my head at the time because I was so focused on getting ready to try and stay warm and dry. The scream put me to bed. Leaning against a backpack on the tree, my military poncho covering my head and torso, my sleeping bag with a tarp draped over my legs like a taco, I fell asleep. I remember waking up the first time. Who knows what time it was? This is important. It was raining, it was cold. I was perfectly dry and warm and at peace. Felt totally safe. I had to be tired from the hike. Back to sleep, perfectly peaceful and feeling safe, sound and confident. The most peaceful, comfortable sleep ever. Uncanny. Next, I'm awakened by something grunting at me, about 4 feet away to my left side. At first, I thought I was dreaming. It was like the sound of a pig, but deep, real deep. Now I was awake. I could hear it move. Something was moving. He grunted twice again by my feet. I could hear it move again to my right. He grunted twice again on my downhill side. This wasn't a huff or a snort. It circled me. It walked around me. I was more scared than I've ever been in my life, paralyzed by fear. I stayed awake and peered through the little hole in the top of my poncho until I saw first light. At first light, I packed my shit and hiked/ran the hell out of there. Found the nearest motel and a 6-pack of beer and watched the Seattle Mariners lose in the playoffs. I didn't even like baseball. In the 3rd grade, I heard wood knocks while playing in the woods at Trinity Lake in California. I thought it was my school friend. Years later, I asked him. It wasn't him. I had Bigfoot dreams as a kid. Some were scary, some were not. Never thought about it as a kid. In 2008 at Mount St. Helens, had a huge herd of elk break through heavy dense forest and down from a mountainside and into our camp in the middle of the night. It scared the shit out of us. I got out of my tent, and in my flashlight was 14 exhausted cows. I felt like they had been herded before. They had been herded there. Is that normal? They just wandered off after my light hit them for a few seconds. I did go back to Dewey Lake and spent 2 weeks camping. There were other campers there at the time. I did get to hike some of the Pacific Crest Trail in Washington by myself. I told this to some folks and they didn't believe me. I just quit telling it. I'll not stop going in the woods. They choose you, boss of the woods. That night in 95, something came and checked me out. Probably didn't mean to scare the shit out of me. We don't know everything. We don't know anything. Need to be aware, cautious, and respectful. There also could be some grumpy, nasty old sons of bitches out there, just like what we have in our world. Maybe they're beyond our realm of thinking. We ain't talking animal here. We're talking about the peoples. Thanks, G, for all you do. Be safe. Be safe, everyone. Gotta keep going out there. F it. They are what they are. ML. Okay, man. Gotcha. Thanks. I do not envy that experience. That's everybody's worst nightmare, right? And meanwhile, right now, I'm really focused on what I'm going to be doing in the north for a month, including the possibility of going solo in the Rockies for a stone sheet for myself. It's either that or I am going back to that area that you guys see me walking that ridgetop with the camera, sitting over that glacier. I might be going right back there with 2 friends to film them hunting doll sheep, possibly. One or the other, or both. And that is the same place we stayed at an old outfitter's cabin 2 years ago when we were there. And my friend brought his rifle. I didn't have a gun. I didn't have a weapon because I was helping him. I was filming, and I don't need a gun if somebody's got one. And then something was shaking the cabin we were in. It woke me. Actually, I wasn't even asleep yet. The cabin started shaking. I grabbed his rifle and I kicked the door open and I went outside. And it was still fairly light out because you're so far north and nothing was there. A friend chalked it up as an earthquake. I'm like, I don't know, man. No rocks came down those steep slopes that were surrounding us. No nothing. Just the cabin shaking. And then we hiked onward for about 5 miles. Spent a couple more nights farther out. And then we hiked back. Stayed in the cabin again. And at the exact same time, the cabin shook again. I'm like, okay. This isn't a frickin' earthquake. And I grabbed the rifle and I pointed at the door. I think I shared this already back then, but I grabbed the rifle, pointed at the door, waited, nothing. Looked out the window, nothing. And then I went outside, slowly circumnavigated the cabin, no prints, no nothing. Anyways, that's where we'll be going back to. It'll be absolutely interesting if that happens again. If it does, probably every hair on my body will snap clean off. Anyway, yeah, camping solo on the ground by yourself, that's your worst nightmare for anyone, no matter what. All right, what's this? Okay, mark this as red. Hey Steve, I listen to you every day. Thank you for what you do. I never even really heard of Sasquatch till 2017. I'm 49 now. I lived a sheltered life, I guess. You could say just working and take care of my children back then. Listening to the emails made me remember a time in like maybe 99, 2000. So I would have been about 27 years old. I worked nights. I was a 9/11 dispatcher. Our house was on a cul-de-sac with the woods behind our house. We lived in the city. After bathing the kids and dinner, I would sleep for a few hours before going into work. My bed was by the window with my feet at the windowsill, and it was open. I recall it was autumn. I do have Christian beliefs, but it was like sleep paralysis. I could see and hear, but I could not move. There was a big black figure outside my window with fire-like eyes. I tried to scream and could not. I started praying the blood of Jesus and rebuking it, and it went away. Since listening to you, I've thought a lot about this and realized the window was about 20 feet up from the ground. I just never really thought about it like a Sasquatch. Don't share this part. All right. Okay, well, that's pretty alarming. That's pretty alarming. And if you do have something else you want to share, man, if you get the chance, make sure you trust me, include everybody out there. Include everything you got in your first email, all right? Because who knows? I mean, what we had some the other day was from May of 2020 or something. It can get lost. There's so many emails that don't get read. Okay, so make sure you get it all in one. And as far as you specifically attracting something, I don't think so. I don't think so myself. But who am I, right? Thanks for that email share, man. What a shit. That's not something you want to see, especially when you got kids in other rooms. Your children in the rooms by themselves. Lots of noises going on today. Lots of sounds. Let me know if there's a bear behind me or anything else. Getting off the sidelines is the title of this one. Greetings and salutations to you, Steve, and all the puzzle piece collectors. My name is Jeff Olafson. Share it all, buddy. I'm an artist, farmer, / fabricator, and a lifelong collector of puzzle pieces. Right on. Steve, I don't believe you completely grasp what you have created here. I'm impressed, truly. You have created, assembled, and moderated an incredible group of people, all fanning each other's flames on the verge of truths far greater than what goes bump in the woods at night. My deepest gratitude. As you and the great people here have dropped large pieces into my puzzle, please allow me to get off the sidelines. My experience, 2017, my best friend Dan inherited his mom's lake cabin in northern Minnesota. Isolated, heavy, dense woods, very quiet lake, about 60 miles east of Bemidji, Bamidgi. Cabin was old and outdated. My buddy Dan had not been up there for 10 years, maybe more. So I started going up there with him, help him clean the place up, level buildings, clearing overgrown trees, neglected property shit. Looking back now, the Sabi were all around the entire time. Before the round table of knowledge, I had no info to work from. Tree knocks were regular between the hours of 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. Now this is going to sound dumb, but Dan played them off to me as crazy Bigfoot people beating on trees. And that was reasonable to me. The first weekend I'm up there, we're sitting around the fire one night, and coyotes started going batshit crazy. We have coyotes at home. I know very well what they sound like. Immediately I said to Dan, what is with these coyotes? They sound retarded or something. They were so loud and drawn out, and the end sounded like it was being choked out or something. They were so weird. I mentioned to some of the other friends when I got home, and it would go on for an hour or more, back and forth between two groups. This was common over the years. Weird owl hoots that were not really owl hooting. The pine cones and small rocks would land around the fire at night. Dan told me this was squirrels throwing shit, and I bought that too. I feel stupid now for not even thinking about the mechanics of a squirrel throwing anything. Was I aware of Sabi? Sabe? Hell no. All I knew was this stupid BS from the Discovery ads. I was into the subject. Dan and I talked about Bigfoot from time to time, but neither of us had seen anything, and we are logical, reasonable problem solvers. So, every spring and fall, just Dan and I would go up, no wives, no kids, prep it all for winter or spring, whatever's going on. Fall 2020. We learned it was no laughing matter. No kids, no wives, most of the other cabins were empty. We go up, get the cabin winterized. First night we're there, some tree knocks fire up about midnight. We're sitting around a small fire. For some reason, I grab an axe handle and walk over to the nearest tree and drop a couple solid cracks on the tree. And with that, they all stopped. I didn't think anything of it. I can't even say why I did it. The next night, Dan and I are ripping a bottle of whiskey, and we are loud. We have a larger than normal fire as it's a little colder. We're sitting in between the cabin and the pole barn on the only slab of cement about 15 by 20. My back's to the woods in the south. Dan's back is to the woods in the north. Solid woods about 20 yards from my back, 20 feet from Dan. It's been dead quiet all night long. Not a peep from anything, not even bugs. We commented on it several times, as loons are always loud at dusk. Nothing. Dan's dog didn't want to come out of the cabin either. Golden retriever with a mind of his own, who would usually choose to lay outside in the rain. so I never tried to rationalize the dog's behavior. If I'd known then what I know now after listening to your last 2 years of content, I'm not sure I would have stayed outside, but I didn't know any better. So, we're sitting around the fire about 1 a.m., and I'm blasted out of my chair by what I assume is a bulldozer smashing through the trees directly behind me. Trees are getting smashed and broken. That kind of contradicts being the keeper of the woods, isn't it? We're both on our feet immediately. It's so loud. It's black as F, no moon, no light, and the cracking trees are headed west to the back side of the cabin. I'm shitting myself at the word go. I'm in the cabin like lightning after my 1911. That's a weapon for all who don't know. The entire time Dan and I are on repeat, what the F is that? We're back to the door, looking outside, and the noise has stopped right at the back side of the cabin. Dan has a flashlight and a 38, and I my 45. Nothing's really sank in at this point, and I look at Dan and I'm like, let's go. The cracking trees had just stopped. We exit the cabin on the east side, move around the south side where the noise came from. There's a fish cleaning shack between the woods and the cabin, and a 6-foot gap between the cabin and the fish house. The side light stops right at the back of the cabin. We're inching our way forward. We get between the cabin and the fish house, and the snapping trees commences once more, no more than 30 feet away. So loud. No other noise, just the smashing of trees. It was like running a skid loader through the trees if the skid loader was silent. That has got to be so intimidating, it's absolutely off the charts. If any of you are familiar with what a skidder is, it's almost like it's a full-size excavator on tracks or big nasty wheels that basically nothing stops it. That would scare the shit out of a dead person. Just we stop to the back edge of the cabin at the end of the light, fear washes over me like I cannot even describe, and I froze. I have no other life experience to reference for how that fear locked me in place. Nothing in the dark has ever stopped me like that. I looked at Dan, and his face was the same as mine. Eyes the size of baseballs and white. It's dead silent again. We just stand there for at least a minute. Finally, we whisper to each other, "What the F? It's no bear." Dan pokes the flashlight around the corner. We both have guns up, which gave me no solace, as it usually would. On the farm, I'm the one who gets up at 3 a.m. to drop bodies when the predators start making trouble. I have no fear of the dark or what may lurk in it, but this was not that, and I knew it. The sound changes direction, starts smashing trees headed away from us. We stand there frozen. I say to Dan, "I don't need to go see what that is." Dan whispers, "You want to go back inside?" I'm like, yes, I want to go back inside. We sit inside for a couple of minutes, and Dan says we should go out and watch the fire burn down. I'm not really having it, but I don't want to be a pussy. So we go back outside. I sit with my back to the pole barn, pistol in my lap, but we don't last long before we dump water on the fire and go inside. The next morning, I'm outside looking into the woods, and I can see limbs, branches, and trees the size of my arms smashed all over. It's so dense and swampy I couldn't even get in there to examine it. And even with the sun, I was still jumpy, just poking my head in there. Neither of us saw any creature. We talked about it a couple times. Both of us reasonable people. We simply knew what it wasn't. Yet, both considered it a Bigfoot at the time with no other reasonable explanation available. Dan died last year, so I have not been back up there. He is my best friend, and I didn't take it well. Sorry to hear that, man. It's really unfortunate. One of my best friend, childhood friend, just passed away a few days ago. It's a sad thing when that happens. It's a sad thing. I am 100% convinced we all see each other again, though. That's what I pass on when I can. Puzzle pieces. I've been a potter for the last 20 years, and I can't listen to the same music over and over, so I listen to a lot of audiobooks in the studio while I work. Ancient books, Roman historians, the cuneiform tablets, the emerald tablets of Thoth. I've been collecting puzzle pieces of human history for 20 years. Let's wait for the token chopper to fly over my head, shall we? Sounds like it's coming right at me. what I should do sometime? I should actually go in that timber and snoop around. Imagine the bear trails in there would be absolutely ridiculous. And I've already looked at it on Google Earth, and there's nothing. Nothing that way till you hit the next river over, which is Stamp River, where everyone says, you want a Sasquatch experience, just walk the Stamp River. So many people have said that's ridiculous. I might go in there and have a little snoop in that timber one day. Obviously, I'll bring a rifle with me and see what's in there. A lot of sounds have come out of there and been caught on this camera over this past year. Okay, where was I? So many stories throughout our history, everything spoken of here at the round table has been discussed for as long as people have been writing things down. Sabe are the giants. All the traits are the same throughout history. Mind speak, portals, magical powers, things described very differently 2,000 years ago. When Edgar and his friends dropped and manipulated DNA 15,000 years ago, my jaw fell off. Not because I didn't believe him, but because the Sumerians wrote that entire story down over 6,000 years ago. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the most well-known of the tablets, but there are thousands of them. The cliff notes regarding Sabe. The Anunnaki came to Earth to mine gold. It was hard work, so they started blending existing Earth being DNA with their own. They described making us, modern humans and many other bipedal beings, including giants, all to mine gold for them to do other tasks. But they liked us best. We were smarter than the rest and more obedient. There is so much to those stories, I can't begin to touch it all without writing a book. The Epic of Gilgamesh is on YouTube in audiobook form. Most here will find the entire story very interesting. Cliff notes on Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh fights a Sabe in this story and wins. They become best friends and go on adventures together. It's an amazing story and how Gilgamesh beats the Sabe named Enkidu in the fight. It's a story you would love, Steve. After listening to the last 2 years of stories here, so many ancient stories make sense. There are hundreds that come to mind, Steve, but I'll just share this one for now. Lovelock Cave in the southwest United States. The Paiute Indians had a story about red-haired giants that lived around them for centuries. It was all good. They even traded with them. But then times got hard. The red-haired giants, what I now assume are Sabe, started stealing the Paiutes' women and children and eating them. The warriors were not having this shit, so they tracked them back to their cave. They blocked up the cave with wood, set it on fire, smoked them out, and killed the few that escaped. The rest suffocated inside. No more red-haired giants. Paiutes live on in peace. Now this would be just a good story, but it gets better. In 1930, farmers are digging bat guano out of a Lovelock cave for fertilizer. They find giant skeletons with red hair, 7 to 9 feet tall. All kinds of news articles, and one guy displays one of the skeletons for years. Then the Smithsonian shows up, sanitizes it all. One last puzzle piece. The elongated skulls found in the mounds of North America and South America. These are giant skulls. They can be identified by two characteristics, separating them from the human head-binding skulls. The elongated giant skulls have no sutures in the skull, and the connection point to the spine is not the same place as humans. The skulls have a cone head appearance. I think these are Sabe skulls. Some in South America still have red hair on them. They are so big, the jawbone fits over a human's face. Professional DNA analysis was done on these skulls. Human mitochondrial DNA, unknown nuclear DNA. Sound familiar? I have so much more to say on this, my head spins. Tell me where you want me to take it, Steve, and I'll write back with more detailed info on any of this. I'm beyond impressed with what you have built here, Steve. The mystery we are solving is far beyond just Sabe. The knowledge being shared by everyone, the puzzle pieces are so numerous. Thank you, Steve, and thank you for everyone sharing puzzle pieces. Whether or not you realize it, Sabe is just a bridge into the gigantic real world that has been hidden from all of us. The myths of old are real. P.S. Your communist fucktard government won't let me go fishing with you. Pissed. Me and you would be friends. Yeah, I won't even get on that topic. I've ranted enough this week. I agree with much that you shared, myself, man. And, all right, the sun is peeking around and blazing me right there. I can't read. There's a bear right there. I'm going to videotape him. Looks like a fatty. Before I do, the Smithsonian. I would suggest the chances of someone from the Smithsonian that's been employed there, currently or ever, is following this channel. And if they are, maybe you could reach out to us and share some honest truth. Wouldn't that be a kind thing to do at this point of the game? Now I'm going to show you guys that bear, and you'll see why it was a little wiser for me to sit out in the middle like this, because they're coming out of the bush. He's moving now. I got to get him on video before he gets out of my sight. Now he's going to become working his way around here, and there's a chance he's either going to cross the river where these rocks are, or he's going to continue on. So, I will let my presence be known to him before he makes the decision to cross to right here, because that's my way back, and the quad is actually behind those trees up there. So, am I nervous? No. Just another day in the life, right? He wants about as much to do with me as I want to do with him, which isn't very much. He's really using his nose right now, I can tell. Ears are back, nose is up, something's up. He's smelling me, maybe. I guess in the meantime, I'll show you guys a 360 of where I'm standing right now, right? So, this is looking south. I live up over those trees to the far left corner. I don't know, half a mile away or something, not even. This is the timber where we heard the weird voices come out of. Lots of people claim to see faces in there when I'm videotaping, whatever. And all the way back here is where I left a camera. Hold on. There it is, right there. Because the bears and everything seems to cross there a lot. Could move it along. Right up in those green leaves is where I got the snapshot of that face, about 10 feet off the ground above the bear. And there's the black bear right there, coming back out. And he might be coming my way. His nose is telling him something. Not his eyes. I got the sun behind me, so he's not gonna see me. It's funny, isn't it? Something's telling him to go the other way. Perfect. All right, I gotta move. Well, my other camera's where I left it, which is right there. Still there. Perfect. Pointing down to there. I'll get that one too. If there's anything interesting on it, I'll show you guys. All right. That bear is gone the other way. Turned around, went back the way it came. I don't know why. And I got water between me and the timber, so I got my back to the timber. At least I'll hear a splash. So anything enters the river behind me, like a bear comes walking down, I'll hear him. And then I'll get a couple more stories out here, experiences out here, and then I'm gonna go grab that camera. And then I'll go grab that other camera. We'll see what kind of bear traffic it is right now. If this bear traffic's real heavy, I'll get that camera later, because that's like a major corridor and it's so thick right there. If a bear comes up, it's gonna be 3 feet away from me. And then you got the water right here, the wind's going downriver, so they're not gonna smell me, probably not gonna hear me, and it'll just be the chance. It's more of a higher chance of a negative experience, right? So, like I said before, some of my worst experiences with grizzly bears always along the river, just for that fact. You're in thick cover, the wind's going downhill, you're going uphill, the sound of the water, and boom, in your face. So, I don't have any kind of weapon on me. Not that a black bear is going to do anything. There's usually enough fish around here, but it's just common sense for me at this stage of the game. It's like, okay, bears are active right now. There is fish. It's kind of slim. It's tough to get up on top of those logs because the water's deeper there, and it's a tangle of windfall and stuff underneath the water. So it's very awkward for me to move around. I can't move fast from there at all. So it's a little bit of an awkward spot. So we'll see how it goes. Just thinking ahead. Yeah. Who else? Type this is red. Bigfoots in New Mexico. Hi Steve, your friends Eddie and Megan from New Mexico here. This is my 3rd time trying to send over. So many amazing stories to tell you from our area of the 4 corners of the North America, USA. We're close to several First Nations people, Native American reservations, and after sharing my story, I attached here for your reference and forwarded an email below while bartending here in my small town of Farmington, New Mexico. The people of the Navajo Nation share some truly extraordinary experiences with me. They've also had of their own. Hope you get a chance to read my experience below. Your videos and shares help me understand what happened to me way back in '03. If you'd like to hear more, I'd be happy to provide you with more information. My friend, my wife and I watch your videos daily. We love each story you share on your rants. LOL. Enjoy the read, Eddie. All right, Eddie. Gotcha. Here we go. Sorry for the wait, but there's no way out of it. Hey, Steve, Eddie here from New Mexico here. Been sitting on the story which I've shared with friends and family over the years, but I think I had it entirely all wrong until I came across your amazing videos. First and foremost, thank you for everything you do in telling the truth at any and all cost. My wife and I watch your videos daily, but more importantly, we listen. Now, I'm 35 years old today, and this story happened circa 0203. The Beastie Badlands, B-I-S-T-I Badlands, are an area here close to my dusty little town in Farmington, New Mexico, in the northwest corners of our state, in the Four Corners area bordering the states of Colorado, Arizona, and Utah. The more and more I've done the deep dive into the subject, listening to stories from people in area or even just north of us to Colorado, where Durango is 45 minutes from our town, and even Pagosa Springs and Silverton, Colorado, which I've heard you speak of in emails that have been sent to you, have made me take a real hard look, looking back and remember everything that happened on that crazy day and night that I'll never forget. Now let's get back to my story. In the Beastie Badlands, which is on the reservations of the First Nations people in my area known as the Navajo. I gotta look around every little once in a while for obvious reasons. Once I get focused on reading it, it kind of kills my senses for what's around me at times. Little peek. My friends and I went for a hike into the Badlands, and I must mention that I had to be 17, 18 years old and didn't have the mature mind on me that I do today. So, after our hike, being teenage kids, we hop back in the car, being young, reckless teenagers. We drive off into an area where vehicles are prohibited and do some donuts. Basically drive past the parking area of the state park where your car or truck is supposed to stay. Now, we park the car in a spot and hike up the hill to go watch the sunset. Now this is where the story gets very, very interesting looking back. And to this day, I can never return to this area without heavily thinking of everything that took place that evening. For years, my intrepidation of what happened was that maybe I drove over an ancient burial ground or offended the spirits of the ancient Navajo tribe and we had an interaction with a skinwalker. But like I said, after countless stories from your videos, I fully believe it was an encounter with a Sasquatch being. So here it goes. As my friends and I are watching the sunset, mind you, my girlfriend at the time, Brooke, my two buddies, Paul and Matt, and my faithful dog, Star, a German Shepherd Labrador mix. On top of this hill, out of nowhere, from what had been a clear and calm day, a violent windstorm picked up out of nowhere, and we were pelted with tiny grains of sand in droves for the better part of 10 minutes. Finally, we all agree, okay, it's time to go. We make our way down the hill, and my buddy Matt slips and falls and rolls his ankle. We later learned it was a nasty sprain that'll come into play at the end of the story. So, Paul and I now have to have him put his arms over each of our shoulders so we can help him walk back to the car with us. Now, about 5 to 10 minutes later, we reach the vehicle. The strange thing is my car now won't start. I've never had any problems before with this little vehicle. My father had purchased for my 16th birthday, and I never had an issue thereafter. So this goes on for about 20 minutes. I try to turn the key over, and you just got the clicking noise. Finally, ignition turns over, and I put it in reverse to back up and leave, and the back tire starts spinning and dig me into what is now us being stuck in a little ditch that wasn't there. My tires just created it. So, we get out of the car to how bad it is, and we are dug in pretty good. Not prepared for this, as the sun is pretty much now set and darkness fills the landscape. We collectively all exit the car to figure out what to do next. Here's where it gets very, very interesting. My dog Star would not jump back out with us and is shaking like a leaf on a tree in the front seat. We tell Matt to get back in the car and sit since his ankle is killing him, and the three of us try starting a fire. And I swear to you, the wind had calmed down and the night was still. No matter what we did, the fire would not start. I'm telling you, I was in high school at the time, had my backpack with notebooks inside, and we had lighters and broke branches off the sagebrush all around us for kindling. And it was like some kind of spiritual evanescence force was at work, keeping us from being able to start this fire. So Brick goes back in the car to comfort Star, Matt's in the back seat, Paul and I have the tire iron in our hands to dig us out of the situation we're in. That is when the snapping of the twigs or branches begin. North, south, east, and west, coming from all sides of us. Paul and I keep digging and ignore, don't say anything to each other for about 15, maybe 20 minutes until the growling started. 1 second on that note. All good. So finally I say, okay, is it just me hearing all this shit or is somebody out there effing with us? And that is when Matt and B exit the car, Star still inside shaking intensely, feeling something with her canine sixth sense. The overwhelming sense of fear and fight or flight responses in high gear. I remember telling everyone, it sounds like a man imitating an animal. That is, no animals growling at us. In this area, we are miles from civilization. Our town is a good 40 plus miles away. So I remember Paul saying, who would be out this far effing with us? Matt and B are now out of the car, and you can see the fear in their faces. I tell Brooke to get in the driver's seat, and we will all push and try to get us out of here after digging for almost half an hour. And that's when the growling and twig breaking uptick began. Whatever this was had us for the taking, but it seemed as it was more than one wanted to scare the hell out of us, and that they were doing just that. The tires kept spinning, so I thought to myself, we need traction. So we got the rubber mats for our feet in the back seat of the car, placed them underneath each tire. Mind you, the twigs snapping, low guttural growling, north, south, east, and west still going on, but gradually getting louder from how much closer they're getting to us. So I tell Brooke, okay, on the count of 3, you hit the gas and we will push. Matt, my bud, remembered, has the rolled ankle, so is so scared, even he on one leg joins Paul and I in the push, because even he is shitting bricks, scared all the way, scared the way we all are, and experienced immense pain, but the fear in the air is so palpable, even he wants to help do his part to get us the hell out of there. Steve, I swear to you, in that finale, 3 seconds, as I count 1, the twigs uptick. Breaking is coming from all directions. 2, the low guttural growling is now sounding like a scream, is about to erupt from all sides of us. When I said 3, counting loudly, in that split second before I said 3, it sounded like a tree trunk split in half. Mind you, there are really only petrified trees out there in the Mexico Badlands. A sound so loud it was deafening. Needless to say, B hit the gas, the 3 of us pushed, and the car released from being stuck. Thank God. Brooke probably drove for a good 15 seconds as we chased the car in the dark. That is how terrified she was, because we were all experiencing this, and she finally stopped. We all jumped in, helping Matt into the car, and thus we hit the gas and hauled ass out of there. Now in our area, skinwalkers, which I mentioned above, are black magic Native American witchcraft superstition, and I was believed maybe we had offended the spirits that day, and that was what we experienced. I know we got no visuals of what we were hearing or experiencing, but I can't tell how enough I truly now believe it was a family of Sasquatch that didn't appreciate us messing around the way we were that day and made us pay for it by scaring the ever-loving hell out of us. Several years back in 2019, I was bartending at our local brewery here in town, and I had these guys who were not local or my regular patrons. So like I always do, just chatting, getting to know people, which is a huge part of my job, I asked them, where are you guys from? What brings you to town? Long story short, to wrap all this up, they told me they were the students from one of the state's big colleges out of Albuquerque, and they're here with a professor as a small crew who had been given a grant, as well as granted access by the Navajo Nation to study the Bigfoot family that existed in an area that was on the outskirts of our little town that was literally between the Mexico Badlands and Farmington, New Mexico, along with the Animas River, not 20 miles from where the very story I shared with you took place. Needless to say, I shared my story with them, and they shared some photographs with me that were truly remarkable. There's a family of 3. The big male, the female, the juvenile is what they referred to it as. Now, I don't believe these were the same exact Sasquatch we came in contact with 20 years previously, but it was astonishing to bring it at full circle. The most stunning fact to me was that they also told me that the deal was with the Navajo Nation, that they could not go public with their findings. Funny how that works, eh, buddy? Last year, coming across your channel and doing a deep dive on all your stories, going back several years from hearing your own encounter to your grandfathers and everyone in between, I hope this email inspires someone to share something they have been sitting on for years on in publicly, such as I have this morning. I know this is a long one, and no actual Bigfoot sighting with my eyes, but nonetheless, it was terrifying, bone-chilling experience, and Steve, I thank you again for giving us all the platform to be honest. The truth is paramount in life. I see all that is happening in Canada and around the world, my friend. Prayers to you and yours, and nothing but love, respect, and support from us here in the States. My eyes are open. If anything ever happens again, I'll be sure to email your friend in New Mexico, Eddie J. Dude, thank you. Absolutely appreciate your time. I'm glad we got to it, especially if you sent it in 3 times. Watch me, I'm going to read it those 3 more times the next year, right? The photograph. Did you mean that you saw a picture of a family of them? They showed you a photograph? That would be really interesting, and it'd be weird. It's a little odd to picture somebody just getting a grant, especially school-related people, and off they go to the Navajo land, and boom, they snap a picture of a family of them. That's really something else to possibly take in and wrap your brain around, right, without seeing the photo. I wonder if those people are watching this channel. Probably. Probably. And as far as other people, like you said, encouraging people to share what they know, I don't think we've picked on the Smithsonian staff yet, have we? I know we haven't. Maybe it's time we did. Are people from the Smithsonian watching this channel? Probably. So, if you are, and for whatever reason it is that you have been conditioned or convinced that the people of this planet aren't allowed to know what you're allowed to know, hopefully you agree that that is absolutely wrong and a major crime. Hopefully some of you might be at the point where you believe it's time that you accept the fact that we are all equal, all neighbors, we're all here on this globe together. We all deserve an equal chance at knowing as much as we can and rocking this lifetime out to the best we can. Right? So on that note, to all of you who have either are currently employed at or previously employed by the Smithsonian Institute of Secrecy, email me. Use a secure email. I don't give a shit what name you use. Email me. Share with us what you got. For me, what would I be most curious of? I would be most curious of the reason why you have been conditioned to accept the practice of not sharing the truth with the people. Why? Why? Why is that? Why do the people at the Smithsonian all agree? What is that, of intimidation? Did they scare the shit out of you? Did they make you sign on the dotted line your firstborn would be delivered to the Clintons or something? I want to know why. Why are you keeping secrets from the people when it comes to the natural world and the truths, our truth? I want to know why. Email me what you know if you can. Unless you're so absolutely brainwashed, you're just a frickin' mask-wearing window licker and it'll never happen, right? But imagine what a place like that needs staff like that, right? Easily scared, easily manipulated, easily conditioned to go against your own brother, neighbor. Man, I can see the bank carved up right there. From what's probably, imagine how many years the game has been ripping through this timber behind me, and it hasn't changed. You imagine the trails that must be in there? Holy shit, I can see it. Carved right up. I'm going in there. When I get back from up north, I'm going in there. I'm gonna go hiking in that timber and see what's in there, and see what trails are in there, see what's been in there, and possibly get the shit scared out of me. Oh well, if it happens, so be it. Not like it hasn't happened before. It's still here. It's funny how quiet it is in that timber though, right? All the bird and the bears are on that side, which is predominantly where most of the life comes from on my cameras. But this side of the timber, which is always the far side of the river where I'm sitting on the quad, that's right there. It's funny how it always seems to be so dead in there, right? In a way. Anyway, time for me to get rocking. Gonna go get that camera right there. And maybe I'll put it, if there's anything really cool on there, I'll put it at the end of this video maybe. And I'll be back with more. Keep emailing me.